Hey y'all. So welcome to Simply Celia. Tonight we are going to make keto pizzas out of chicken. But it is real and it does work, and my husband actually really likes it, which is a huge feat in this household. So to get started, we have to preheat the oven to 400 degrees. All you need, I have two. My husband is a big guy, so I have a circular pan covered in parchment paper and a cookie sheet covered in parchment paper, obviously parchment paper. Parmesan and mozzarella cheese, garlic. There is no such thing as too much garlic. As for the sauce, you can use whatever kind of sauce you want. These are my go-tos. And here is your best friend, the chicken breast. So you can get chicken breasts out, you can boil them, which I recommend you do. I try to use as fresh of ingredients as I can, but this is just if you're in a hurry and you're in the mood for pizza, it's a great way to do it. The recipe calls for 2 eggs, but I'm making 2 pizzas tonight, so I'm gonna add 4. And then whatever kind of pizza toppings you like. I like mushrooms, onions, and green bell peppers, and my husband likes pepperoni and bacon bits. But tonight I'm going to try and make a garlic salt butter crust. This recipe also calls for making your own homemade Alfredo sauce. It is really easy to make. This also requires minced garlic, and I put a little bit of garlic salt in there because, like I said, the more garlic the better, so I love to use both. We're gonna open up these cans of chicken. Try to drain off as much juice and water as you can off of these canned chickens. You can boil chicken breast, but make sure that you drain off all the water that you're boiling your chicken breast with. I've had that happen where I didn't drain it all off, and that's how I know what a runny crust tastes like. So take it from me and save yourself the step. So you add all 4 cans of your chicken to this, and if you're going to make a single serving, it would only be 2 cans of chicken, but because I have a very large husband, I will be making 2 different pizzas. Okay, so to this chicken, that's all that's in here right now is just your shredded chicken. It should be 3/4 of a pound. 3/4 of a pound is about 2 cans. It's a little bit above, but I'm okay with that. What you're gonna add to this is 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. So I add about 1/2 cup, and then you add 1/2 cup of mozzarella. So if you do 1 serving of this pizza, it's 1/4 of a cup of grated Parmesan, 1/4 of a cup of grated mozzarella. Or at the store they do have it where they're combined together, Parmesan and mozzarella, so you can get that as well. This calls for 2 cloves of garlic. So then I add way more than 2 cloves of garlic. And mine is minced garlic. So I'd say that's about 2 or 3, and I'm gonna add actually a little bit more because there's no such thing as too much garlic. And you can totally skip this step if you want. There's no worries if you don't want a lot of salt. I literally just add a pinch and call it a day. And mine. Another thing that I like to add for a little bit more of the Italian flavor is Mrs. Dash Italian Medley. So it's obviously not a lot more salt. I kind of eyeballed this, but if I had to guess, it'd probably be about 1.5 tablespoons, but it's because I really like the Italian seasoning. I also add this to my pizzas on top. Then you add two eggs, but for 1 pizza it would be 2 eggs. For this it is going to be obviously 4. So 4 eggs. Okay, so you're just gonna mix this in. I've seen people where they will mix in some almond flour, and that's fine too. It just adds, not many, but it does add some carbs back into this. So it's supposed to look like this. It does look a little wet, and that's totally fine. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is I have my sheet pans right here. Honestly, if you have 2 sheet pans, you can eyeball it, and that's fine about how much you would want. Because my circular pizza tray is obviously about 1/3 of the size of the large sheet tray, cookie tray, I might put a third of this onto my cookie sheet, and I will show you what that looks like. Third of that mixture to this cookie tray, and I'm just going to squish it to about 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch thick. And if it looks like there's too much, you can have it thicker. You just might have to check it more often and just make sure that it is cooking. An easy way is if you have overlap, like my goofy cutting is, when it's cooking, if you pick it up like this when it's in the oven, you can make sure that the bottom is not getting too crisp or too brown. Or you can always message me on here and ask me, hey, is this normal? And I will gladly get back to you. And one thing about this is it's not like a normal pizza dough. If you want to go to the edges, which this is my edge right here. You can see it right there. This is my edge. And you can go to the edge because obviously there's no dough in this. There's no yeast, there's no anything, so it will not rise. It won't move on you. It's good to go and it's gonna stay in place. A lot of people don't have a little cookie or a little pizza tray like that. That's totally fine. That's another reason why I make this. It's almost like a pizza flatbread instead. So the rest of that mixture, we're gonna do exactly what we just did, just with this rectangular one, this cookie sheet. And even if it doesn't reach all of it, you know, if it stops right here and you still have this left, that's okay too. Just try, I mean, if you want to make it thinner, you can make it like a thinner flatbread if you'd like. And you wouldn't think, it's just really hard to believe that a canned chicken from Costco can turn into a pizza crust, but here we are. But this will hold up in a refrigerator too, so say if you don't eat it all in one night, that's okay. Just put it in a Ziploc bag and it will hold overnight. It will actually hold for a few nights, but it'll hold through the fridge and you can eat it for leftovers the next day. It's really good cold, like cold pizza. A lot of people like cold pizza. I am one of those people. Okay, so once it is on the parchment paper on your cookie sheet, get a fork and just poke it randomly throughout. There's no right or wrong for this. Okay, so we're gonna let that pizza bake for 20 minutes and make sure it's nice and golden brown. You can check the edges, obviously, or lift up that piece of parchment paper. Okay, I was looking at myself instead of the camera, so we're gonna do that part again. Okay, so we are going to let that pizza bake for 20 minutes in the oven. Just check it about 10 to 15 minutes in and make sure it's not getting too brown. You can always check the edges or do that trick where you lift the parchment paper up and see what the bottom is looking like. And when you lift that parchment paper, if it's crumbling apart, you know that it's not ready. So just give it, I do 5-minute increments, or if you want to do 2 to 3 minute time increments, that works fine too. But while that's in the oven, now is the best time to make our homemade Alfredo sauce. Okay, to start making our oh shoot. Okay, to start making our Alfredo sauce, we have to have a saucepan and turn our heat on medium-high heat. We are going to make half of a recipe for this because it makes a lot. So to start off with, it calls for 1/2 cup of butter, but we are going to use 1/4 cup of butter. We're gonna let that melt. When it is fully melted, we are going to add a cup of heavy cream. My butter is melted. Don't let it boil if you can help it. So now we are going to add 1 cup of heavy cream. I have a 1/2 cup measuring cup right now, so you're gonna see me put 2 in there. Do not let the heavy cream boil either. Okay, so there's my cup of heavy cream. Okay, we're gonna let that simmer for a little bit and incorporate. Okay, so we're gonna keep stirring this so that the heavy cream does not boil. We don't want that to boil. Next, we're going to add a cup of Parmesan cheese to this while it's nice and hot. Well, okay, I'm just gonna add the rest of the bag. I just add the rest of the bag. Now I'm making grilled cheese, I guess, on the skillet. Joey's laughing at me in the background. Now I really need to stir this because I don't want the heavy cream to boil at all. I recommend using a whisk because it gets thick. It gets very thick very fast because the cheese has now been added. Okay, I'm gonna turn my heat down a little bit because it does look like it's getting hot too quick. I like a lot of pepper in mine, so I add a lot of pepper. And then I added a little bit of salt and a little bit of garlic salt, but I get salted butter, so I don't need a lot of garlic salt. And I also add a nice spoonful of minced garlic. And because I like to thicken it a little bit more, I do add, I'd say about 1/4 of a cup of grated Parmesan or powdered Parmesan. And now that it is done, I just stir it so it doesn't stick to the bottom, and this will thicken up. It just needs to not be on such high heat. Right now, there's a lot of garlic chunks in there, which I love, and so does Joey. So you can add that to taste. You can add any other kind of cheese you would like, and salt and butter to taste. We like ours extra garlicky and we like it extra peppery, so that's what we do. We use this for dipping sauce for our pizzas, or last time I used this in addition to my marinara sauce. So you can use it for either or, and it's really, really good. And you can say you made your own homemade. And this does hold up well in the refrigerator. I would honestly make sure you put it in an airtight container and leave it in there, but you will be fine for quite a while with this in there. And it tastes so much better than buying store-bought. I used to just buy mine and make Joey Alfredo all the time, Alfredo noodles, chicken Alfredo all the time. And then I learned how to make my own, and I haven't bought any store-bought since. And this is so easy. You see that it took me about 2 to 3 minutes and it's already done. Because my burner is still hot, I'm just gonna move it to the back of the stove and let it sit there until I'm ready to use it. Okay, so I checked the pizza crust at 20 minutes. Me personally, I like it to be a little bit more done. I like a semi-tuft. Okay, so I like a semi-tuft crust. Tuft! What is happening? Buttery flaky crust, Joey says. Okay, so I like a semi-tough crust. Said it that time, yes. Okay, so I put it in there for another, Joey's clapping. I put it in there for another 5 minutes because I like it more done. The good thing about this pizza dough is it's not gonna taste gummy because there's no yeast, there's no dough officially in it. So all that you really have to do is make sure your eggs are cooked, and it's up to you, honestly. Well, my voice just went away. So anyways, it is up to you and how done you like your crust. So just use your discretion on what you like. But right now, while this is in the oven, is the best time if you want to slice your mushrooms, if you put mushrooms on your pizza, if you want to slice onions, get your spinach, or even if you want to make that Alfredo sauce, or if it takes you time to make that, that's perfectly fine. But you can get your pasta sauces out, you can get, or pasta. You can get your pizza sauces ready. You can make your own if you'd like. I'm trying to make it as quick, easy, and painless as I can. Therefore, I bought store-bought. And actually, these I've been using for a while. We don't eat a lot of pizza sauce, so it lasts us for a while. Rayo's is a great company if you are on keto. They are very low carb. They don't add a lot of salt to their products either. So if you are worried about salt intake, they don't add a lot of salt to their products either. So if you see me also add a little bit of extra salty items to my pizza, that is why. It's healthier, obviously, if you don't, but I like to like what I'm eating. So, and if I don't enjoy it, I won't eat it, and I want to enjoy what I'm eating. So it is totally up to you. I've made these into a buffalo chicken pizza before. That's really good. I add this Moore's buffalo sauce. It tastes fantastic, but just adding this buffalo ranch sauce, adding a little bit more ranch, and you can use canned chicken again and sprinkle that on top. Makes a great buffalo chicken pizza. I have also made recently a pesto crust. So all I do is take a spoonful of this and sprinkle it and brush it around the outskirts before I bake the pizza with my toppings. So when I start to put my toppings on, this is when I would add this to the crust. Okay, so they are out of the oven. They look really good. They're nice and golden, not too bad. We're gonna do the lift test. They stick together and you can kind of see some of that brown happening. I might actually put it in there for a little bit longer. It's looking a little bit loose still, but this is the best way to tell, is doing that test to see if they stick. This one looks a little bit more done. It looks like it's coming through the paper a little bit. It does seem to hold up a little bit better than the other one does, the flatbread. I might leave this one out to rest. It's looking pretty good. I left the pie shaped, the pizza, what is it called? Pizza tin? Okay, I left the pizza tin pizza crust out. It held together really well. You could see that I could lift it up all together without it falling or coming apart or breaking apart. So I put the other flatbread style pizza back into the oven for another 5 minutes. So next step, right now my pizza is resting. The circular pie tin pizza is resting right now. You have to leave it out for 10 minutes. Once the 10 minutes is up, you can add your pizza toppings, but you can... Okay, so for my pizza, I add maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons of pizza sauce. Spread it around. If you like, this is up to you and whatever you like as far as toppings go. I add my sauce. I'm trying to make sure I save a little bit of space on the outskirts so I can make my crust, the butter garlic crust that I was talking about earlier. So that's about 3 tablespoons right there. Well, tablespoons. And then I'm going to add a few splashes of our sauce, our delicious Alfredo sauce that we made earlier. Just randomly put that on there. My pizza will be a mushroom, green pepper, and purple onion pizza. So I'm going to add that on top of my cheese because I like it to get, I like those vegetables to get a little bit more tender, and if you put them on top of your cheese, they're right in line for the broiler to hit them, so they cook a little bit while they're in there. So I am going to add, I have small hands, but I would say about 2.5 handfuls. So there's no fine science to this. I'm just putting some butter on there to make the garlic stick to it, and then when this hits, when the broiler hits this, it will just turn into like this caramelization. It's just kind of giving this garlic salt something to stick to. So I'm going to sprinkle some salt, some garlic salt. Just realized I forgot to put this in, so I'm just gonna sprinkle it on top. Let's hope for the best. Okay, so I told you guys that I like to add some to my sauce, so I'm just going to, oh, that looks pretty though. I mean, I'll take it. Okay, so I added some of my Mrs. Dash. Now I'm going to add to my heart's content. And I love green peppers. I'm obsessed with green peppers right now. So I'm gonna add a lot of them. Oh, well, we can hear a cat in the background, real life. Okay, some purple onions. And then last but not least, we are going to add mushrooms. And there you have it. It's almost like a play on a supreme pizza. And that's mine. Now let's go make Joey's. We are going to go crazy here with the amount of bacon bits. And I do not use bacon bits. I do not think it makes pizza taste good. I get the bacon pieces. They are bigger. They taste so much better than bacon bits. Does this look like a lot? Yes, it does. But again, this is for Joey. So Joey wants all the, well, not that part. Joey wants all the bacon. And I'm gonna recycle that. And then time for the pepperonis. Chow, please. There's his delicious looking pizza. So now we are going to go into the broiler. Okay, so we put the broiler on high, and it only takes about 5 minutes for this to get done. So you really have to keep an eye on it. We're gonna do one at a time, just to be on the safe side. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Put Joey's in. Oh, Lord have mercy. Looks so good. And that's just after 5 minutes. I took it out because the crust on this side started to get a little bit darker than I would have liked. But you can see the cheese is like bubbled up in areas, and it's just perfect. Y'all. Oh my Lord. Can we talk about the way this thing smells right now? Oh my dear Lord. They both are just incredible, but baking bacon, y'all. It's time to go eat. And that's it, guys. Honestly, Joey and I make a plate and we will dip our pizza into that Alfredo sauce, or I will drizzle it on top of mine like I did before I put the cheese and stuff on. But otherwise, that's it. Really simple, really easy. So good luck, and if you have any questions, just ask me or let me know and I'll do what I can. Thanks, guys. Enjoy. Also, please make sure you recycle.